Hello, everyone. I am Carlton T. Clay. Welcome to Celebrate Black Excellence. This guest needs no introduction, but he's going to get one because he deserves it. He's a legend in the game. He's an actor, director, empowerment leader, and he's one of the stars of the hit Netflix series, Tyler Perry's Beauty in Black. Ladies and gentlemen, here with us today, Mr. Richard Lawson. How you doing today, sir?
I'm great. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. This definitely means a lot. Again, you are a legend in the game, so thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk with me today.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
No problem. Again, legendary. Your career spanning almost 60 years, legend in the game. What inspired your love for acting?
Well, I was very fortunate enough to connect with my purpose when I was early on, right in the very beginning of my career. I had an epiphany while I was on stage that this is what God put me on this earth to do. So I've had the fortune and the blessing of being able to do something that I've loved for 55 years. And I look at it as me being on vacation for all this time. So I don't get tired.
Yeah.
I don't have my days don't go. Some people say, man, thank God it's Friday. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that means because Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm 7 days a week. I'm 24/7, 365 in terms of pursuing the thing that I love.
Absolutely.
So I understand my mission. I understand my purpose. And I understand, what my job is on this planet.
Absolutely. Like I say, when you're doing God's purpose and also when you're doing what you love, it's not work.
It's not work. It's not work. I hear people talk about retirement. I don't know what that is. I have no interest in that. The death rate after people retire is so high because once someone stops doing what they did regularly, they don't usually replace it with something that fulfills them as much. To go from doing to not doing, from being active to being idle, is not a concept that I have any interest in experiencing or exploring.
Absolutely. Well, we definitely want to make sure you stay on our screens for a very long time because, again, legend in the game, and we just love seeing you whenever you show up. So,
thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned the stage, and you got to start in the national company of No Place to Be Somebody with Ben Vereen and Philip Michael Thomas. How did working in theater prepare you as far as your acting career? How did that influence you as an actor?
Well, that's a foundation for an actor to learn his craft is a stage. It was so interesting that the other day I heard Denzel say something that I have been echoing for years. I've been teaching for 45 years. And so I talk about it a lot in regards to the fact that stage is an actor's medium, and that's the foundation of what you learn. You work in little short intervals on film. On stage, when the curtain rises, it's on you to take that journey until the curtain closes. And so you have to really ride that whole thing and be able to go moment to moment and create a whole interesting, deep character. On film, you have just brief moments where you are inside that character versus you're in that character for 2 hours, 2.5 hours, And that's the basis of learning about how to be a good actor. I started with, Ben and Philip back in 1970 when we did No Place to Be Somebody.
Nice. Well, like I said, you have an illustrious career, an illustrious body of work. And I'm about to name some of the things you've done. And this is only a few things. Film and television. Poltergeist, How Stella Got Her Groove Back, All My Children, Dynasty, NYPD Blue, Saints and Sinners. And again, there's so much more. Now, again, I have to talk about this with you because this is one of my favorite sitcoms ever. I grew up on this show. Sister, Sister. I cannot let you go anywhere without talking with you about that. You were on the final season of Sister Sister.
Yeah.
You played Victor Sims, which was Lisa's boyfriend and turned husband.
Yeah.
Y'all got married on the last episode.
Right.
How was it working on that show?
It was just so much fun. I mean, I know Tim, I know Jackie. I didn't really know the twins that well. Mm-hmm. I knew them and had met them, and they had a lot of respect for me, and I grew to have a lot of respect for them when I saw their talent. My daughter did that show, mm-hmm. and she went on as a guest star and wound up being a regular on the show. So, but it's fun, when you work with a group of people, especially veterans, it's easy because of the fact that you're not holding on to considerations. There's no competition. You are grateful, and you can't wait to share your talent, your imagination, your ideas with these veterans that have been there and move easily, are pliable and are collaborative. It's a wonderful experience. It was great working on this show. I think I did 6 or 8 episodes or something like that.
Nice. Now we are in the age of reboots. They're bringing a lot of these shows back. First question for you: if they were to, because they were talking at one point about doing a Sister Sister reboot, possibly. Not sure what's going on with it now, but if they were to ask you to come back, would you come back?
It depends on where it is. I mean, at the end of the day, it's about what's on the paper,
right?
And the writing,
right?
The writing is everything. If there is a ramp for the character, mm-hmm. meaning that you see the life of the character, it's not just one episode. It's not about being funny. This is a funny episode. It's about what is the life of that, so that this story can continue moving forward and becomes more and more interesting and complex, and with contradiction, things that you didn't expect, and then that's a fun ride.
Got you.
Yeah.
Well, let's have a little bit of fun here with it. If you had any say as far as the writing is concerned, and if you could see what Victor and Lisa are doing right now, because again, they got married on the last episode. Mm-hmm. In your mind, what are Victor and Lisa doing right now?
Lisa's wearing the hell out of him, frustrating him because, she can't stay in a straight line. She's kind of like a cat, a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs. She's just all over the place, all havoc and chaos and stuff like that. And then, and Victor's doing his own thing and try to stay out of the drama. So it could be a very funny thing between the two of them, where he tries to help her out and tries to become a better person, and it just doesn't work. So it's like something like that.
Right. That sounds fun. That sounds fun for sure. All right. So let's get on to your later work. Let's start with Divorced in the Black. Mm-hmm. A bit really, really, really heavy movie. A lot of twists and turns, especially in the first 10 minutes of the movie. You played Clarence. You played Megan Good's character's father in the film. Mm-hmm. Again, a lot of shocking moments. What was your initial thoughts when you first received the script?
Well, that's interesting because when I got the script, that wasn't the character.
Okay.
The character, in the original script, the funeral took place. The funeral wasn't all of that spectacular thing that it became, but he was just a father, the same framework, but he wasn't a preacher. Okay. He lived in the country. He was concerned about his daughter, who was involved in a traumatic relationship with, abusive relationship with her husband. And, she was depressed and brokenhearted, and we helped her get through it. So the core of what is in the film was in the original script. The night before, a few hours before we were supposed to start filming on Monday morning, I got a new script. And then the new script, now I'm the preacher in the church delivering the sermon, and the Bertrands are at the funeral, and we're burying one of the Bertrand brothers, and and as a preacher, I've got to tell the truth, because this is only going to get worse. This family has been the bane of this community's existence. And so all of that stuff that you saw in the first 10 minutes of the movie did not exist the night before we shot it.
Oh, wow.
All of that was rewritten, and at 2 o'clock in the morning, we got a new script with those rewrites. Okay, and that's what we shot. We didn't shoot it the next morning, that scene, but that scene replaced, so the character was completely replaced and enhanced by the rewrite.
Got you.
And so I had to rearrange my whole concept and thinking about this character and turn it around. And it was fun doing it, but it was like real different.
Yeah. Life of an actor. You just gotta be ready on the spot.
You gotta be ready.
Right.
You gotta be able to process, pivot, and proceed.
Nice. I like that. 3 P's. I like
with
that.
3 P's.
I like that. Now, for people who have watched Divorcing the Black and they watched Beauty in Black, they've noticed a lot of people that were on Divorcing the Black are in the series Beauty in Black as well.
Some.
Like I said, some of them.
There's the let's see, it's myself and Debbie, Ursula Robinson, Taylor Polidor, and Shannon Wallace.
Okay.
So there's 5 people that came over.
So was that a conversation that happened? Like, hey, we liked what you did. Mr. Perry was like, hey, we like what you did here. We're gonna bring over to Beauty in Black, or it was just
No, he did. He didn't say anything about it.
Okay.
Until months and months and months afterwards, he called me and said, "I got a role for you and Debbie."
Okay.
And I'm thinking about it. And so he continued to think about it until he was able to formulate it in his head. And at the beginning of this year, where then he came up with, last year, that he came up with the show.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But it wasn't something that he told us about and was pre-planned. It was something that happened later.
Got you. Okay. Okay. Nice. So speaking of Beauty in Black, your character is Norman Bellery.
Yeah.
And first of all, the series is wild. It's a wild series. It's a wild ride.
Why would you say that?
You said, why would I say?
Why would you say that? This is just it's a loving family, loving Black family, typical Black family.
Okay.
Not.
But it's definitely a while. Again, you get in it and it's like you're watching it and it's like it's always something happening within each episode. And your character again, Norman Bellery, he is the brother of the person that's I guess over the business. And your character's wife got hit. And basically your whole thing is first of all you're trying to find out who killed the wife, and then after she died,
it's a small sampling too.
Right.
Because we live on a private road.
Right.
Our family owns this piece of land that we built our houses on. Nobody can access the road because it's a gated community. So it has to be someone in my family who killed my wife.
Right. And you constantly repeat who killed my wife. You're like, you're trying to figure
Somebody
it out.
killed my wife. Who killed my wife?
And then we get into, and so then she eventually dies. And then it's like, okay, my wife is dead.
She eventually gets killed.
Right. She gets killed.
Yeah, she gets killed by one of my family members.
Okay.
That he feels it has to be one of his family members.
Right. And he wants everybody to know that my wife is dead.
My wife is dead.
So yes. Yeah. So he needs everybody to know that.
Yeah, well, he does have a broken heart.
Right.
And he has a great capacity for love, obviously, because he loved his wife.
We can tell.
He loved his wife, and everybody's going to pay.
Yeah, because Norman is definitely out for blood. For sure.
No question.
What was it like for you playing this part?
It was really a wonderful ride, because when you first read it, it's like a shock factor, like, oh my God, and you're looking at it and then you try to find a way to get in and find the key to this character and make him real authentic and deep, you know, with dimensions and nuance. And so it was a real challenge. Um, and it was a real challenge finding your note amongst, you know, in music, it's like there's a chord that's composed of several notes, you know, as many as 5 notes or more, there's a chord. And what is your note in that chord? Mm-hmm. So you have to find your note in between the keys, so to speak, because of other personalities. And so you find the right mix. What's the Abbott and Costello between him and Horace? Abbott and Costello meaning that they're opposites.
Right.
You know, a real challenge, a lot of fun. You know, I approach everything scientifically. Mm-hmm. I have a whole chart, a character chart that I invented that is a very intense and detailed way to come up to discover who this character is. And the chart is 36 by 48, and it's beautiful in the way that it's etched out. It's not really beautiful because by the time the first day of the shoot, you've made so many notes and you are clear about what it all says. Mm-hmm. And so, so it was a beautiful challenge, wonderful challenge to create Norman.
I want to say, like I said, you definitely played the role well.
Thank you.
Again, Norman is definitely somebody that we just continue to keep our eyes on because, like I said, he's by any means necessary.
By any means necessary, and it's a good idea for you to keep your eye on him because
you don't know what he's gonna do.
Yeah, because he's going to search somebody down. He's gonna find out who killed his wife.
Right. I want to talk about the final scene, season 1, part 2, because y'all show up. Mm-hmm. Well, your characters show up. And Kimmy is married to your character's brother.
Yeah.
And now she's in charge of the company now.
Right.
So, what were your thoughts? I just want to know, what were you thinking when you read that was going to happen? What were you thinking?
What a great cliffhanger! What a great cliffhanger! Because wow, the way the season ends, mm-hmm. Powerful. Like everybody's like, whoa, what's going to happen now? You know, who's going to jail? Are they really going to go to jail? You know, what's going to transpire? And so, the one thing that Tyler Perry is really good at is creating cliffhangers, make so that the audience is saying, "Wait, what? What just happened? Oh my God, I can't wait till the next one." I mean, people are talking about, you know, when is season 2 going to come? Because it's just so delicious. You want to see what happens to each and every one of those people.
Yeah. Well, speaking of season 2, congratulations. Beauty and Black has been renewed for a second season.
Thank you.
I know you probably cannot answer this question, but I have to ask you the question for the fans. Mm-hmm. Is there anything that you could tease for season 2?
Cannot answer that question. Cannot, will not, won't.
Right.
No.
Right.
No.
Nah, we don't want to get you in trouble.
You sure don't want to get me in trouble. I ain't who knows. No.
But we're definitely looking forward to season 2 again. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
That's definitely, it's doing great on Netflix, obviously. So
it is in the top 10 globally.
Yeah.
Been for 3 weeks now, almost.
Yeah. That's awesome. All right, so let's talk about your new book. You have a new book here.
Yeah, I do.
Yes, just came out, The Artist's Roadmap, Navigating Your Career in Show Business. Congratulations on the book.
Thank you.
Congratulations on the book. Can you please tell us what the book is about?
So that book is really the culmination of my 55 years of being in the business and 45 years of teaching.
Okay.
So I've had the pleasure of being a part of these people's teaching environment. My mentor, Milton Katselas, had a school, and I was his protege in that school. So starting in 1980, I started teaching all of his students because, you know, we would have class on Monday and Wednesday night and Tuesday and Thursday night, you know, day classes from 9 to 1, night classes from 7 till 11 or 12. And so I was working day and night in all those classes, and then even his master's class on Saturday. So I learned a lot. He was considered the preeminent acting teacher in the world after Lee Strasberg died. And I was his protege. So, I taught all of his classes. So I learned a lot about teaching, about how to pull things out of people and not put things in. It's a teacher's job to create an environment where a student, a person, can go in and be able to discover themselves and express themselves, with complete support for their crazy, if you will. And so at a certain point, I realized that I have a lot to say because I've been through a lot. And also I've had the fortune of being able to watch a master teacher pull things out of people. And then I learned how to do that. And so this book is a culmination of my history in terms of learning, in terms of doing it, and teaching it. And so one of the things that I focus on is, what is your dream? See, if someone is sitting before you and they have no idea why they're here, they don't understand their purpose, then they're kind of like on a ship without a rudder. It's going to go where the current takes him. And as opposed to someone who is intentionally going to Tokyo, and they're about that. And the tide comes and the storm comes and it drifts you off. But your GPS puts you right back on the Tokyo. No matter where the waves and where the tides, where the storms take you, you're still moving towards that target, and that never stops. A person who has that, you can help them get there because of the fact that they never get tired. They never lose their impetus for that. And if they do, this document they created will help get them back on, or their community will help support them in getting up and moving on. Their sense of ethics and their mentors, all these people will be helpful in getting them moving towards that target. So the successful actors in that group of people were ones that were able to see the end of the line, backward thinking with forward motion. What is that out there that I'm seeking? Can I tell you, or can you tell me, or can the student tell me, because that's one of the questions that I ask, what are you going to be doing 20 years from now? Describe to me what you are, describe a day in your life. Most people can't. So then where are they going? When you get in your car, nowadays, what's the first thing people do?
Put in GPS.
Put in GPS.
Put in GPS.
GPS is your purpose. If you got a GPS, you get up every day knowing where you're going. You're not just getting in your car, turning the car on and saying, well, staying in one place.
Right.
Or driving around on an adventure with no intention. Or you are on a journey with an intention, with GPS. So what I do is give people GPS. And part of the GPS is in terms of having the skill to be able to do it, to be an accomplished actor. But there's a lot more to it, because you got to handle the people that's on your bus. Who's on your bus? grandparents, parents, your significant others, your team, your friends, your family, your siblings, your children, your mortgage, your ethnicity, your gender, your church, your religiosity, your animals. All that is on your bus. What's your relationship with each of these people on this bus? What level exchange do they have with you on this bus? There's 4 levels of exchange: criminal exchange, unequal exchange, equal exchange, and exchange in abundance. Who's stealing from you? Who's taking from you emotionally, spiritually, financially, otherwise? You better handle them on that bus, because they create an environment of discord, toxicity. The person who is unequal exchange, that they don't give as much as they get. You got to handle that person or those people. People who are equal exchange, you're grateful because they give. You give them 10, they do 10. Exchange in abundance, where people always do more. They give more value than they expect. And that's back and forth like that. So you got to understand that. You got to understand relationship maps. You got to build relationships. Your network equals your net worth.
Absolutely.
It's about who you know. It's about how you fertilize those relationships, how you keep those people in your life. The 3 ingredients to success in this order is politics, personality, and craft. Politics is you got to get in the room. So you got to know people to get in the room. Personality is now that you're in there, they got to like you. Now, I don't mean you got to do no tap dancing. You ain't got to come out of you got to be your authentic self. But can people in your authenticity see your heart and see your soul and see that you have principles and ethics and integrity? And then with all of that, then your craft is your ability to be able to negotiate and use faders of career, life, marketing, friendship, all of that, so that you take advantage of all the things you know. That's your craft, right? You got to be able to negotiate the road. You got to be able to understand how to monetize. How do you monetize your career? You cannot depend on your talent alone. That's great. But how do you take advantage of your talent? It's like, one of my students got on a show, highly successful, ran for 6 years. I constantly said, so what else are you doing, man? You can't be just known for that. While you're doing the show, that's cool. When you're down, do Shakespeare in the Park in New York. Write your own short. Create your own thing. What kind of products do you want to sell and stuff like that, At 78 years old, I can talk about hair products. I can talk about skin. I can talk about being in shape, and then create where it's like a line of clothes or a represent, a lot. These are all things that are supplemental to your skill. That all of that is in that book.
Nice. That was a lot. And that was a lot of good gems. So y'all definitely make sure y'all want to get the artist roadmap. And this is available on Amazon, correct?
Amazon, yes. Amazon, Barnes and Noble. Amazon is the straightest line. And plus the fact that I make more money on Amazon. So, go to Amazon and buy it,
And we just talked about monetizing. So yes, definitely make sure y'all go to Amazon and support Mr. Lawson and his new book. Y'all definitely want to get this again. A lot of good gems he just said here, but a lot more gems here in this book for sure. I want to talk about your studio, your acting and empowerment studio, the Richard Lawson Studios. What was the inspiration behind opening up the studio?
Well, when I worked for Milton and taught for him, and I created a whole new approach to studying acting. This is in 2005 when I really saw the fact that, self-taping, put yourself on tape and create your own product and your own reels and and you have to create your own work, right? That I put a camera in people's hands, and then I taught them how to become filmmakers. Not just so that they would be the next Spike Lee, but if you're an editor, it teaches you how to be a better actor. If you're a producer, it teaches you how to be a better artist. Because when you produce something and say, hey man, I want you to play this part, oh great, thank you. So set call for you is gonna be 7 a.m. And then they don't show up until 8:30. As a producer, you lost some days, you lost hours, you lost money and time. That as a independent filmmaker, that maybe you can't get back because your Uncle Bob, who's a manager of that restaurant, it let you in there, and you got so much time to be in there. You know what I mean? And now you're forced to scramble. Now you're forced to make decisions that it's like, well, I'm not going to be able to get that cut, that shot. So now you start making adjustments. So producing teaches you how to be a better artist. Director teaches you how to be a better storyteller. Writing certainly challenges your storytelling abilities. And so you're able to use that for yourself to have a career. So I found a niche in the marketplace, and I put a camera in people's hands. People thought I was crazy. Now everybody's doing it, right? So I created that because after teaching, which wasn't my goal, I really found the beauty in being able to give back and to help others. And it became a form of service on one level, and then it also was something that would help me to supplement. I call them pillar jobs. The bridge to where you're going, all bridges need pillars to hold them up. And so these jobs is just a way to hold up you, for you to really chase your dream. And so this school, over the course of time, I have helped so many people to become filmmakers, comedians, editors, writers, successful actors, and especially young people. My young people, kids started with me when they were 12, and they're now 20, are brilliant artists, brilliant people. And I'm just so happy. And so, it just continues. It continues to light the fire under me to continue to teach.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for all that you do and all that you're pouring into the next generation with all your knowledge and wisdom.
Yeah.
So again, you've done so much, and like I said, it translates. And we appreciate you for all that you do. So
thank you.
Thank you so much. Now, you briefly mentioned her. So people who do not know, you are the father of actress Bianca Lawson, who is a legend in her own right as well. She has her own legacy as well.
Right.
As a father, what is it like for you watching her create her own legacy in this industry?
One of the most satisfying things is that people come back professionals. I mean, some of the legends who had the opportunity to work with her will come back and say, Bianca's an incredible person and an incredible artist. And so that her being an incredible person is far more important to me than anything else. I'm glad she's an incredible artist because she's been doing it since she's 9. And so the bulk of her life, the majority of her life, she's been an artist. And I remember the first conversation that we had when she was 9 years old, and she wanted to go into this business. And I said, okay, well, the first thing we got to talk about is you being a professional. What does that mean? Because you're a kid, you still have to show up and do the same thing that everybody else does. And so we had that conversation, and she's held true to that all these years. And she's so good that, at times, she's my favorite actor. And it's not nepotism. It's just the fact that, she's so powerful on screen that when she doesn't say anything, the story is being exquisitely told because it's in her eyes. And so it's like, see, that's top of the line. Yeah, I'm really proud of her.
Good. Yeah, like I said, I'm definitely a fan of her work, as I'm a fan of your work as well. So you guys are definitely creating that legacy in the industry and just in the world for being good people and good artists. So thank you again for that.
Thank you. The irony is that on one show I played her father. I think it was For the People. I played her father, and Debbie Morgan was a lawyer on the show. So it was me, her, and Debbie who were working together. Debbie was her mentor, the character's mentor, and Debbie was a former girlfriend of mine, and I'm a successful judge and lawyer, and so it was a wonderful kind of thing that we had and the ability to work with her, all three of them, both of them rather, all three of us. Yeah.
Nice. Well, you've given a lot of gems today, but if there's like one piece of advice or a word of encouragement that you can give somebody that's watching right now, what would that be? As far as like being in the industry or wanting to get into acting?
Freedom is having nothing to hide. To be an artist, you have to be a free soul, free spirit. So you can never let your creativity pass through the lens of someone else's morality. And so the first thing is that, well, let me circle back and say that when I look out 55 years, if I were to go back to the first day that I realized that I wanted to do this, and I go 55 years out to this moment, and I look back and say, what has been the most important thing for me to experience, or that I have experienced that's gotten me here, is the fact that I've always been clear about my purpose. That was my North Star. And so therefore, that made the journey so satisfying. Because no matter what happened, there was always that thing that would get me back on track and keep me, rerouting, but I'm constantly moving towards that thing. So when I look back and I see all the things that I have accomplished that I wrote in my original dream or doing, that a lot of that stuff has already happened. And this is stuff that I wrote 25 years ago. And it's like, it's all happening. So that postulate is real, but the thing that's kept me going through it, and it could take me all the way to the end and beyond. After my body drops and I'm no longer in this body, my spirit is still going to be imbued in so many other people. And my dream and my intention and my purpose will continue to live. If you think about Dr. Martin Luther King or Malcolm X, their purpose still lives in a lot of people, even though not as many people as I would like it, but it's still there. We don't forget them. And I want to be that where people will continue to live through the things that I've planted on this earth. And people tell me all the time, man, I think about what you say all the time. Beautiful.
Absolutely. Well, again, thank you so much for all the beautiful words you said here.
Yes, sir.
We definitely appreciate it. One final question. If people want to continue to follow you or your illustrious career, or they want more information on the books, all the things you have going on, how can they do that?
Mr. Richard Lawson on IG. Thread, YouTube, TikTok. My studio is studio.richardlawson.net.
Okay. Awesome.
Or Google me. Google me. Don't believe all the stuff that comes up, but Google me.
Well, Mr. Lawson, once again, thank you so much for coming here. This, again, I have to reiterate, this means a lot.
Thank
for you to sit here and talk with me today. I definitely appreciate it. Thank you so much for all the gems that you've given. And again, congratulations on all the great work that you're doing. We are looking forward to seeing you on our screens in days and more products to come. So thank you so much.
And if you buy the book, review it, because I want to be #1 New York Times bestseller.
And we speak that, and we're going to speak that and receive that for you. So you're definitely going to have that for sure.
Thank you very much.
And thank you again, Mr. Lawson, for being here. We definitely appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
All right, everyone. I am Carlton T. Clay. This is Celebrate Black Excellence. We celebrate Black excellence every day. Have a good one.